Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're diving into the world of SpongeBob Tower Defense, a game that's got some seriously fun gameplay, but also a bit of a tricky side. No tooltips, no clear descriptions, and a whole lot of stuff you're left to figure out on your own. Sounds like a challenge, right? Well, don't worry, we've got your back. In this video, we'll be breaking down all the traits in SpongeBob Tower Defense, giving you the inside scoop on what's worth your time and what might not be so hot. So, get ready to level up your game knowledge. Let's be real, SpongeBob Tower Defense can be a bit confusing at first with how little info the game actually gives you, but that's where we come in. Whether you're re-rolling your traits or just trying to make sense of which ones are worth keeping, we've got the definitive tier list right here. So, grab a snack, sit back, and let us walk you through the best traits in the game. By the end of this video, you'll be a pro at choosing the traits that will really make a difference on the battlefield. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking traits in SpongeBob Tower Defense. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
A very small portion of the audience is subscribed to the channel. Please don't forget to subscribe if you like these types of videos. Thanks.
The traits in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Surge 1, Wealth, Scholar, Reach 1, and Strike 1. Alright, let's dive right into the nitty-gritty of SpongeBob Tower Defense traits, and trust me, some of these traits might make you rethink your strategy. First up, we have Surge 1, and boy, this one's a solid pick for anyone looking to boost their attack speed. A 5% SPA, attacks per second increase. Yes, please. This is especially useful for those slow-moving units or ones that just need a little extra help to dish out damage. If you can throw in a vortex for good measure, you've got yourself a real powerhouse. Don't sleep on this one. It's one of the best traits to snag, especially in the right hands. Now, let's talk about Wealth. Yeah, you know where this is going. This trait reduces placement and upgrade costs by 25%, but honestly, it's kind of a letdown for most players. Sure, it might come in handy in story stages when you're trying to save a few bucks here and there, but once you hit endless mode, this trait starts to feel borderline useless. It's one of those traits that sounds great on paper, but when you're deep in the game, it just doesn't hold up. So yeah, I'd avoid this one for the long haul. Next up, we have Scholar. This one boosts your XP gain by 100%, which sounds pretty fantastic at first, right? But here's the thing, it doesn't apply to food items, and let's be real, unit levels don't make that much of a difference when it comes to stats. XP boost is nice, but you won't see the kind of game-changing results that you might expect. It's like a nice little bonus, but overall, not a game changer. So, unless you're specifically working on leveling up units for some weird reason, you can probably leave this one on the shelf. Let's move on to Reach 1. This trait increases your unit's range by 5%, and honestly, it's pretty sweet if you're playing on maps with winding roads or those tricky layouts where you need every inch of range to make sure your units are hitting their targets. But, and here's the kicker, SPA is often more valuable, so sometimes boosting your range won't matter as much if you're already rocking units that attack quickly. It's a decent trait, no doubt, but sometimes that attack speed just steals the spotlight. Now, Strike 1 is where things start to get interesting. A 5% damage boost might not sound like much at first, but trust me, it's better than Wealth or Scholar any day of the week. Damage is always a great stat to have, and every little boost helps, right? That said, I'd still say it's not as critical as SPA or RNG. Those stats tend to carry more weight. Still, it's a solid choice if you're looking to enhance your unit's offensive capabilities. Just don't expect it to turn your underwhelming units into gods of destruction. And there you have it. To wrap it up, if you're making decisions about which traits to go for, always keep an eye on what will give you the most bang for your buck. While traits like Surge 1 and Strike 1 can really make a difference, Wealth and Scholar might leave you wishing for a bit more. Choose wisely, and remember, it's not just about having the best traits, but using them in the right situations. The traits in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Surge 2, Reach 3, Strike 3, Reach 2, and Strike 2. Alright, let's get into it. If you're diving deep into SpongeBob Tower Defense, you've probably noticed that the traits can really make or break your strategy. Today we're looking at a few of the B tier traits, which aren't top tier but still pack a punch if you know how to use them. So let's break down why these traits are solid picks and when they can actually shine in your gameplay. First up, we've got Surge 2. This trait decreases the SPA, speed per attack, by 15%, meaning your unit gets to attack faster. Now when it comes to traits, SPA is often one of the best stats to have. Faster attacks can melt through enemies before they even know what hit them. This trait is perfect for slow units or units with utility abilities. Basically, the ones that need a little extra speed to get the job done. So, while it might not give you massive damage boosts, the increased speed makes it super helpful, especially if you're dealing with enemies that just won't stop moving. If you're lucky enough to pair this with Vortex, you've got a pretty terrifying combination on your hands. Then there's Reach 3. It gives you a solid plus 25% RNG range boost, which is especially great on maps with winding roads. Imagine having your units just extending their reach across the whole map. It's like having a sniper on the job. This is a trait that excels in levels where you need your units to target enemies from afar. Sure, SPA might be better in some situations, but when you've got a clear path for those long-range attacks, Reach 3 can make a huge difference. It's all about controlling those choke points from a distance, and if your unit has decent damage to back it up, you can easily dominate. Next, we've got Strike 3. This one boosts your DMG damage by 25%. Damage buffs are always nice to have, and Strike 3 is better than traits like Wealth or Scholar, but here's the thing, damage isn't always the top priority. In certain situations, RNG or SPA can give you more overall value. But hey, if you're looking to punch through a horde of enemies, this trait will do its job. It's definitely useful for units that already have decent range or attack speed, as it'll make sure those hits hurt when they land. Then there's Reach 2, which gives you a plus 15% range boost. A little more modest compared to Reach 3, but still solid. This is another trait that's especially useful on winding maps, where units need to cover a bit more ground to hit targets. Again, the trade-off is that SPA might be more valuable for some units, but if you're running a slower, utility-focused unit, Reach 2 can extend your coverage and keep you safe from incoming threats. Finally, we've got Strike 2, which boosts damage by 15%. It's not as impactful as Strike 3, but it's still a nice boost to your unit's power. If you're trying to find that perfect balance between damage and utility, this is a great option. Like Strike 3, it's better than traits like Wealth and Scholar, but once again, damage isn't always the best stat depending on the situation. If you're looking to maximize a unit's potential for offense, this will definitely help, but remember that sometimes RNG or SPA can be the game changer. So there you have it. The B tier traits in SpongeBob Tower Defense aren't always the flashiest, but they can definitely get the job done if you use them in the right way. Sometimes it's about finding the perfect fit for your strategy and knowing when to prioritize speed, range, or damage. And remember, just because something's B tier doesn't mean it's bad. In fact, these traits can often surprise you if you use them wisely. The traits in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Vortex, Pursuit, and Surge. 3. Chutsi. Alright, let's dive into some of the traits you'll come across in SpongeBob Tower Defense. If you're not careful, you might end up overlooking some real gems, traits that make your unit shine in ways you didn't even know were possible. First up, let's talk about Vortex, which gives you a whopping 35% SPA. This trait is fantastic for boosting your DPS, especially when you're working with slow-moving units. You'll see those big damage numbers start flying faster than ever before, making Vortex one of the best traits in the game. It's like throwing fuel on a fire. Your units will be burning through enemies at full speed. Next, there's Pursuit. This trait ups your range by plus 50% RNG, which is a game changer for anyone using line or AoE units. Suddenly you can hit enemies from far, far away, which is always a bonus when you're trying to keep those pesky enemies at a distance. It's one of those common traits that doesn't look like much at first glance, but once you see the difference it makes, you'll be a big fan. However, just keep in mind that slow units don't really benefit from this one, so it's best used with those units that need a little extra reach. Then we've got Surge 3, which gives you a 20% SPA. Much like Vortex, this trait speeds up your unit's attack rate, which is crucial if you want to crank up the damage output. It's especially helpful for those utility or slower units that need a little nudge to get going. But here's the thing, if you've got Vortex on your unit, Surge 3 may not be as essential. Why? Because Vortex already brings that extra boost in attack speed, so you might find Vortex to be the better option for those DPS focused units. To wrap it up, each of these traits brings something unique to the table. Whether it's Vortex giving you lightning fast attacks, Pursuit letting you dominate from a distance, or Surge 3 helping your utility units hit harder and faster, it all comes down to how you build your team. The key is to pick the right trait for the right unit, and soon enough you'll have the ultimate setup to crush any wave that comes your way. The traits in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Secret Formula. Alright, let's dive into one of the absolute powerhouses of traits in SpongeBob Tower Defense, Secret Formula. If you've got this trait, you're holding the secret to victory right in your hands. Seriously, it's like you've got Bikini Bottom's greatest secret weapon on your side. you're getting a massive plus 50% damage boost, which means your towers are hitting harder than ever. But that's not all. Your SPA, that's attacks per second by the way, takes a little dip at 5%, but honestly, who cares when you're dishing out so much damage? Combine that with a plus 50% RNG randomness, and now you've got a trait that can absolutely turn the tide of battle in your favor. It's like having a mystery power-up from SpongeBob himself. What makes Secret Formula even more insane is how it feels like the best trait in the game. It's one of those abilities where everything just clicks. The damage boost is no joke, and even though your towers are attacking slower, the sheer power behind every shot makes up for it, times 10. Plus, that plus 50% RNG means you're in for some unpredictable but powerful results, making this trait the ultimate game changer. If you've got the Secret Formula, you're not just playing the game, you're owning it. So if you haven't unlocked it yet, trust me, you'll want to get your hands on this ASAP. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.